So there's this romantic idea that writers sit under trees, they look at beautiful landscapes, but actually you have to stare at a blank wall because you need zero distraction. So I turn off my phone, and somebody told me you have to go to your desk like a farmer is going to tend his or her field. So it's just hard work. Don't romanticize this. It really is hard work, and the first draft is so terrible you want to cry. When you write your first draft, it really is very bad, and it's completely fine. You have to make peace with it that the first draft will be bad, and it will be ugly, and it will be terrible, and you're like, my mind is thinking something, my page is looking like something else, and that disconnect will always be there. So I think it is just about putting that bad first draft out, staring at a wall, switching off from the world, whatever that means. I delete Instagram from my phone. I don't look at my phone. I actually switch off my phone when I have to write. And sometimes that means I have to write through the night, which is the reality of it. Yeah, so it is grunt work. It is just grunt work. And there is a lot of joy. I mean, I'm not denying the joy, but I think joy is not the only reason you write. Because you have to put in those hours, you have to make your work better and better and better, so you have to polish it. You have to be, I think this book, we did 3 or 4 rounds of editing, and the very last round of editing, Sonia and I went off to Mysore to just be cut off from everything, and we were sitting in Mysore and we kind of read through the whole book over 2 full days. And this was April this year, but yeah, it's just a lot of hard work, and there's no denying that. Actually, when I was working on 5 Morsels, I did write to a writing coach. I did write to a food writing coach called Diane Jacob in the US. But she was actually not very impressed with my book idea. Many people were not at that point, and even now, actually if you think about it, everybody has a grandmother who cooks. Everybody has like a binder of recipes. Most of us, I think. I mean, maybe everybody is a stretch, but many of us have family recipes. Many of us have mothers and grandmothers who cook, or aunts, or or dads. I don't know. So when I wrote to this food writing coach, she said, your book sounds a little boring. Maybe you should find a different angle to your food writing story, because it's a very common story. It's also a story a lot of people tell you, don't write about your grandmother, it's boring. But I was 100% convinced I have to write this book. So I did not take that criticism to heart. After that, I think, as I said, I've always been a reader. And I think that's your training ground to be a writer. There's no better coach than a book you read. And I've read all my life. I continue to read. I think even if I have to give up everything, I won't give up reading. And I think that's my only coaching. I think it's a very good question, and it's a question that I ask myself, that a lot of people also ask me, that my own family asks me a lot. Like when I was doing 5 Morsels, my mom's brother asked me, everybody looks at YouTube now, who will look at book now? And which is true, right? Because I also Google recipes all the time, and I also look up YouTube videos all the time, and they're really great videos, and sometimes it's unparalleled to watch somebody cook and to be able to take that back into your kitchen. So one is, yes, it had to be kind of an extension of my grandmother's dream, but I did evaluate what I was not going to do a YouTube channel myself. So that was out of bounds, because I don't think I have the energy to do it. And also the rigor and like every day to do it, all of that, I was not that person. So yeah, it was not like I did not look at all these different ways of putting my work out there. Blog, again, I don't have discipline or rigor to do it, and I had a full-time job when I was doing 5 Morsels. So I'm like, if I have to churn this out like as a weekly blog or a daily blog or a daily anything, I won't. Oh, by the way, I started a blog. It's not like I didn't. I did start a blog, and it flopped big time because I could not keep up with this one recipe a day, and I was just very annoyed with myself. I didn't know how to do photography. I think I'm a little better now. But at that point, I had zero idea how to take food photographs or any photographs. I'm like, if I have to, like, I also have a job, so I can't do this. So I killed the blog. So I killed the blog. Um, and I think this world still has a lot of magic. It still holds on to a lot of things we think we are losing. And I really, really believe it. And the books reiterated that to me over and over and over again. Yeah, I think there's somebody actually sent me a message on Instagram. I think we can still hold on to things that are unchanged. I'm like, wow, yeah. I think it's a great line to hold on to what we believe in. Yeah, very relevant question to Indian kitchens and a question I live with every day. It's a question I kind of ask myself every day. And we are not baked. I mean, as you said, Indian kitchens are very, very, very different. A lot of it is also taste, right? You may like it spicy. I may not like it that spicy. So how do you also communicate this? Like, I can't just say cook to your taste. What does that mean, like, really? And also, I think the biggest advantage I had is I didn't know how to cook. So I think my ignorance was my biggest advantage. Because if I knew this, maybe I wouldn't have asked these questions. So I'm heating ghee. I'm like, should I put urad dal first, or should I put garlic first? Should I put green chili first? Should I put red chili first? I have all these stupid questions, which I think are very, very important. But at the same time, I think at least the way I approach it is, I give a range, like use half a teaspoon to quarter to a half a teaspoon of something. And also you can give a lot of sensorial input. So the way I again addressed it is, I'll say cook for 12 to 15 minutes, or when your kitchen smells like heaven or something like that. You have to give some time range. So basically you can, and that's why I think recipe writing is a craft, which a lot of people think, oh, it's a recipe. Yeah, I think if it's a different country, if it's a different kitchen, all these things are very important. Like the measurements are very important. I have a friend who's a translator who told me your book is an act of twin translation. I'm like, can you talk in normal terms? Don't use this twin translation and all. He's like, it's a translation, of course, from Telugu to English, but it's also a translation from a different era to now. And I'm like, okay, I didn't really think about it like that, because you're right. My grandmother never used, I think, maybe cups. Cup measurements are not there in the older book. It was an exercise in seeing how that can work in today's kitchen, because if I put Sayar Avrikal, nobody understands, I think. Even I don't understand. It's very cliched to say my life changed because I wrote one book, but it does continue to change. And these are things I never expected I would do. I'm just embracing whatever is coming my way. And I think when you cook, you become a different person. I strongly believe that. You're paying more attention somehow to everything. You're just paying attention to life. And what I mean by that is you'll question everything. So if I'm buying vegetables, I'm questioning where they're coming from. Maybe in the past, I would blindly buy some imported apples, not really paying attention. But at least now there's a little bit more sensitivity to that. I think the biggest thing is when you cook, you pay attention. And when you pay attention to anything, you ask deeper questions of yourself. You become a little bit more conscious about where you're buying things, how much you're buying. Am I wasting things? If I'm peeling something, can I use this peel in something? If there is a seed popping out of something, can I use that seed? Like if a jackfruit seed is coming out, can I put it to use in something else? So I think your outlook to life really changes. And that can seep into many aspects of life. You buy less, you consume less, you only consume what you need, you waste less. And it really becomes a philosophy you live with in other aspects of life too. Okay, I think my biggest regret in life is that I didn't go to art school. That I just did things which I was, just because I was topping my school, I just did engineering and things like that. But I think my heart was always in art. But absolutely, I danced every day. Even if I had exams, I would wake up at 6 a.m., dance and go to write exam. The discipline of dance definitely continues to inform my life. Even if I do yoga, I don't dance, but that's okay. I think that discipline never left me. So no matter what, you always show up. And the same with writing, right? No matter what is happening in life, you show up at least for 15 minutes in the day. Child could be sick, something has broken, you have to go help a friend with something, but you still come back home and sit at the desk for that little time. Even if you write one word, one sentence, doesn't matter. It's just the rigor of doing it every day. So when I wrote to Esther, or when I finally started working with her, I did not know how much of involvement I would put into the entire process. Of course, I was interested, but basically design was something I really loved. It was an interest, but at the same time, I didn't want to interfere with Esther's process. I mean, many creative people hate it. But thankfully for me, like even with my editor, I think I have a very different equation compared to like how regular editors, writers work. And I can't really say, because I have not worked for another publisher. Nobody's published my work, so I really don't know. But I can sense when I see other writers now that my editor-writer relationship is very different. Because I listen to Sonia a lot more than most other writers would, I think. And I really value her feedback, and I'm okay to changing my sentences. If it's sounding better, I'll let go. So that's the editor relationship. So it's almost like a very collaborative process. And I thankfully found a designer who was in the same mode. Because I think one of the first questions she asked me is, send me a picture of your grandmother's sari, when I was doing 5 Morsels. Then I had this bottle green and mustard sari, which is what became the book. It's got bottle green and papers. And also my grandmother always wore bottle green bangles, always had those really tight clinking bangles. So that was the first thing she asked me. That I sent. I'm like, why is she asking for a sari photo? But I sent. Then she asked me, what is the spice that you use most in your kitchen? And I'm like, I can't really think of one spice. And chilies and Andhra cooking, I'm like, I have to break this thing. I don't want to put chili and Andhra cooking next to each other. Then she's like, okay, what do you like? I said, rice. So that's how the rice motif came. But I think she asked a lot of questions to really understand me as, what was inspiring me, where was I coming from. I think the first week or two was just this, just getting to know each other. And I'm very involved in design. I drive her nuts. She drives me nuts. But she's very willing to be in a space of collaboration. And for whatever reason, I think I've ended up with this team which has better work ethic than me. I continue to learn from them. So all of them are just, their work ethic is somewhere else. And I think it's just a blessing in my life. There are still some pockets of, like I go to this place called Buffalo Back, which is here near Madhavan Park. I go to Gramin Angadi. I go to also local 9th block, 4th block markets. Vishala, who runs Buffalo Back, is a part of my new book. She's been able to revive a lot of ancient strains of rice because she supports farmers and she provides market access. I think that's the big challenge, right? Because we'll go buy Sona Masuri if nobody tells us otherwise. Or we'll go buy Basmati if nobody tells us otherwise, because we think those are the only popularly available options. But I think as you get deeper into anything, you'll find. So I have now, I think at any point there are 3-4 types of rice in the house, 3-4 types of wheat. So you will find people who are, that's the hope and magic part, I think. You will discover that people are actually doing it. If you pay a little attention, it's sad that it doesn't become mainstream, but also imagine a family where both the couple works, they have full-time jobs, and you're asking them to go find heirloom rice, go asking them. It's too much pressure on living, right? I think there's also some sensitivity to that we should give, that many people's lives are busy and many people have to work full-time. I have the luxury of not having to work full-time, or rather work at my own pace and do a book in 3 years, Also, my book business is a fully sustainable business, which means I never lose money at any point in my life. So I'm able to sustain my life in a certain way, which also means I've cut down, like lifestyle and all is a certain way, which I'm very happy with. Yeah, so I think if you pay, I wish things become more mainstream, because you should not put pressure on everybody to go finding one type of dal, one type of wheat, one type of ragi. It's just unsustainable to ask like the entire country to go looking for these things. I wish they become mainstream. I think what we can do is champion them. Like in my little influence, I talk about, these are places you can go and you'll find all these things, and spread the word in whatever little way I can. Yeah, and there will be some loss always. Language, anything you take, there will be loss. It's a hard question to answer. I would have found a publisher, although nobody approached me. Sometimes it happens, like if a writer's first book gets some traction, a publisher could come to you, but that didn't happen for me. Nobody wrote to me. I could have gone and either pitched my second book to a publisher, and I'm sure I would have gotten some attention. Also, I could have pitched to an international publisher. I thought about it. It's not like I didn't think about it, because it would take away a lot of other responsibilities off my plate. Because now I own the book, I have to still market the book. And you cannot rely on the success of first book that it will seep into the second book. Nothing like that happens. The problem is I have obsessions like paper, like aesthetic, like this designer, like this editor, and a publisher may not give me all that creative freedom. They will assign an editor to me, they will assign a designer to me, and from the previous conversations I've had, at least with some publishers, they are also cost conscious. Obviously, it's a business, right? Even for me, it's a business. I should not lose money in the process. So they will say this paper is most economical. Now, what if I don't like that paper? How much should I fight? So that was my bigger problem, that I want to work with this set of creative people, which I think makes the book what it is. Because I don't think it's just me making this book. I think my editor, my designer, my photographer, all of them equally contribute their creative energies to the book. And without that, I don't know if I can make these kind of books. So I'm not confident yet of, I don't think I have that much power in a publisher conversation that I can say, I want to work with the same team, will you still publish? And the answer will most likely be no. Okay, thank you for all the great questions.